Okay, we're ready. We're talking about the immune system, how it protects the brain, and how the brain relies on the immune system. We're in the Brain Saver books, you guys. Books that are mind-boggling, mind-blowing, like seriously. And there's so much information in the Brain Saver books. There's 2 Brain Saver books, okay? There's so much information in these. It's line for line for line. I promise you, the greatest books of all time, hands down, in health. These will go down as the greatest books ever in health. I can stand behind that. I can say it with being proud. I can say it with confidence. The greatest books in history in health. No one can touch them. Science research can't touch them. Nobody can touch what's in these books and what they're going to do for people to move their lives forward with sickness and illness. Nothing will compare. There will never be a book out there by any other health author, any other health, industry that can ever touch the original, unique, incredible, mind-blowing, comprehensive, detailed information that's in the Brain Saver books. It will never, ever happen again. You're witnessing history. I can say this, if you're somebody that came on here and you don't know medical medium or medical medium information, you're saying, well, he's biased. It's his books. They're not my books. It comes from above. I'm a messenger that got the information, placed it into the books, and yes, the books are there for the people. And the reason why I sound a little snarky about that is because someone was like, oh yeah, but they're your books. And the reason why I'm snarky is like, okay, yeah, sure, but the information came from above. I'm not that smart. And if you believe it didn't come from above, and you believe that I created this information that's in the Medical Medium book series and in the Brain Saver books, then okay, I'm a genius. I'm a genius then. I don't know what to say. I must be a genius. He's a genius, everybody. But I'm not a genius. Valerie says you're pretty smart, AW. I'm not a genius. The information in these books is so advanced. It's ahead of science research. Real solutions, real causes, real truth. You can't find this anywhere else. You will never find this anywhere else. I could say this proud. The information came down. I put it in the books. It's here. And I'm not a genius, for sure. And when you read these books, because no one could make this shit up. It can't even be made up. None of it can. Just like in the Medical Medium books. And it paves the way in alternative medicine and conventional medicine because they poach and steal from the MM books. MM publishes it first, and they poach and steal it. And of course, they and then they put slander on Medical Medium. But the point is this is literally a time in history that's very special. The Brain Saver books. I'm talking about the immune system. How the brain relies on your immune system to protect it. The brain relies on your immune system to protect it. Okay? And so that's important to know all on its own. So here I am. Let me move these for now. Move them over. If you don't have a copy, maybe someday you will. I want to talk about cleaning your book too, which is interesting. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But let's get through this. Our immune system... our immune system fights to defend us. Our brain relies on your immune system. Now, I'm just giving you a forewarning here. I talked about how the brain shot therapy is so powerful that you're going to get that instant relief, and it's going to be an experience that isn't explainable unless you experience it yourself, honest to God. But I'm also talking about how every line in these books, both these books, every line is jammed packed with information, highly detailed information. So let's get into it a little bit. There's no way humankind could physically evolve faster than any of these forces against us. Just listen to that one line. Just one line out of thousands of lines in these books. There's no way humankind could physically evolve faster than any of these forces against us. Which brings us to the immune system. So what that means is we can't out-evolve the chemical poisons, the toxins, the exposures, the garbage that our bodies are faced. Everybody's getting kicked off IG today. Unbelievable. So they really have it censored heavy. So the whole point here that we're talking about is when it comes down to it, we can't beat out the speed in which the earth is polluting our brains. So we need to be active in doing something. We have to learn how to protect our brains. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to have the answers. Because right now, I mean, the amount of people sick and the amount of people dying is unbelievable. Never before in history, and it's all kept hush, 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 hush out there. But never before in history have we seen the amount of people dying and the amount of people being sick globally like it is right now. It's unbelievable, unprecedented, right? So this brings us to the immune system, which is responsible for protecting the brain. So our immune system has a responsibility. Our immune cells have a responsibility. It's to protect our brain. Our immune systems were never made for what's evolving around us, and that's a problem all on its own. Our immune system was never built to handle what we are up against, what is being evolved around us, like the onslaught of everything we're up against. Our immune systems were never created to deal with that. So we have to do something. We have to support our immune systems. We have to support our body because it was never geared for that. They weren't designed to fight off engineered bugs that were manufactured. They weren't designed to deal with toxins. Our immune systems weren't made to put up with all the amount of chemicals. So our immune systems were never put up with the amount of chemicals we're up against. It was never put up. Our immune systems were never created to deal with all the different bugs and viruses like Epstein-Barr and shingles and HHV6 and all the different viral infections people have. Our immune systems were never designed to deal with chemicals. This is something that our immune systems have been put up against, and everything's evolving around our immune systems. And our immune system's job is to protect the brain, and the brain is relying on that. So there's things we can do to protect our immune systems and to protect our brain. There's things we can do to actually help our bodies. I mean, that's incredible all on its own. Our immune system was never designed to be up against EMF evolving around us, right? So EMF used to just be this radio signals in the 1920s, the 1930s, the 1940s. Radio signals. That was the first onslaught against our immune systems and our brain, was radio signals. That was the EMF of the day. No biggie. It was radio signals, you know? So think about that right now, how interesting that is. But our immune systems were never designed for the evolving EMF we're up against now. And the cell tower signaling that we're up against now. Our immune systems were never designed for that, for cell tower signals. Our immune systems were never designed to deal with the radiation we're up against now, you guys. So that's something that's a whole nother level. Every time something foreign enters into our body, whether it's EMF, whether it's radiation, whether it's pathogenic, whether it's a toxic chemical, every time something foreign enters into our body, even if it's in the form of radiation, our immune cells have to gobble it up. Really important to know. So every time we are up against anything, our immune cells have to eat it, have to gobble it up to protect our brain. So our brain's relying on this. So as times are evolving and we have this attack, this industry attack on our physical bodies, as that's happening, our brain is like, wait a minute here. I'm relying on I'm relying on our immune system, you guys. Our brain's talking like, I'm relying on your immune system. Hey, I'm relying on your immune system. Like our brain is like literally screaming, our immune system has to save us and protect us, has to protect the brain. Our brain has an intelligence. our brain has a metaphysical and physical intelligence to know it's in trouble with what we're up against all the time between EMF and pathogenic problems and radiation and toxic chemicals and all of that. Our immune system is the security system against any attackers that want to invade our brain. Think about that. So your immune system is the security system to actually stop attackers, to stop brain crime. Our immune system has a big job in defending our brain. So our brain is desperate, relies heavily on our immune system. Now check this out. This is mind-blowing all on its own right here. How long a white blood cell lasts against a toxic invader depends on how toxic the substance is. And that's something that's huge all on its own. Now, one thing you'll find in the Brain Saver books is you'll be educated on all the different things we have to be concerned about, which is a big deal because that's so important. We need to be aware of what's going on. But people don't realize a lot of the stuff they have in their life and that they're partaking in their life is breaking down their immune system, and they don't realize that. And that's really sad when you think about it all on its own. They don't know their immune system is being broke down. How long a white blood cell lasts against a toxic invader, okay, depends on how toxic the substance is. So your white blood cell's job is to gobble up anything in its way, anything that's heading to the brain. EMF, guess what? Your immune cells are trying to gobble up EMF. Radiation, your immune cells are trying to gobble up radiation. Pathogens, like that one, your immune cells are trying to gobble up pathogens. Toxic chemicals, your immune system is trying to gobble up toxic chemicals. Depending on how powerful that EMF is, how strong that radiation is, how toxic that chemical is, how toxic that bug is, determines the lifespan of that white blood cell, that immune cell. It determines the lifespan. That's insane. Nanopoisons from perfume and cologne have to be gobbled up by our white blood cells. What? So anytime you breathe in perfume, your white blood cells have to gobble up the perfume particles. Whoa. Nanopoisons like perfume and cologne have to be gobbled up by our white blood cells. This is why when people are breathing in cologne and they're sick and they're chronically ill, that cologne just weakens them more, makes them sick, brings on their migraines, brings on their sinus problems, brings on their fatigue, even worse and more, to the point where they're just tasting the cologne and it's so sickening. But your immune cells, if you already have a weak immune system in general, the immune cells have to gobble up every part of that cologne nanoparticle. And cologne's not natural. None of that stuff's natural. It's chemical created, lab created. Important to know. Nanoparticles from air fresheners and scented candles have to be gobbled up. I was the only one talking about plug-in air fresheners for years and years. And now you'll see on social media like some kind of doctor influencer or something pretending that he just figured it out yesterday or something that air fresheners are bad, but doesn't even cite but yet is listening to the podcasts and listening to everything, but doesn't cite it back, so that people can find their way. And then they sell the person something bad for them, like clay to eat or charcoal or apple cider vinegar gummies or crap like that. It's unbelievable. It's a sick world. It's really a demented world. Nanoparticles from air fresheners and scented candles have to be gobbled up by your immune cells. And that's a problem all on its own. Your immune cells have to gobble that junk up. Pathogens, such as these bugs, right, that everyone lives with now. People live with all the different bugs inside of them. You guys know that's why everybody gets sick. It's a big part of it. The pathogens, right? Epstein-Barr virus Low-grade viral infections weaken the immune system because your white count has to gobble it all up. Flu viruses and beep have to be gobbled up. Flu viruses and bleep have to be gobbled up. They have to. Toxic heavy metals that enter your body through all kinds of bleep and other things and ways have to be gobbled up. And here's another thing people don't realize. Caffeine. Caffeine lowers the immune system because it has to be eaten up by white blood cells. Nobody knows that. Meanwhile, caffeine industry evolving around us. New caffeine concoctions while the caffeine industry evolves around us. You guys, I'm reading out of the Brain Saver books. Check it out. Check them out right here. You won't be disappointed when you get the Brain Saver books. Books with an S. You will be mind blown. Hands down, the greatest books of all time. And I'm sure just people are going to be pissed about them along the way. So I'm sure there's going to be plenty of campaigns to try to break down my credibility, and then the information here will be stolen over time by podcast doctors or whoever else. So, but you can't break down street cred, millions of people healing around the world, and the most healing stories around the world never before in our history. And it is what it is. So here's how it works. Let's go into it a little bit. And I got a couple of things I want to do with you guys. I want to help you clean a book because it's important, because the books get dirty when they get shipped to you from Amazon. And I'm going to go into that in a minute. I know we're going off topic. So here's how it works. As a white blood cell gobbles up nanoparticles, whether it's toxic heavy metals, air fresheners, fragrances, perfumes, colognes, pathogens, radiation, EMF, when your white count is gobbling it up, it's taking a hit for us. It's taking a hit. And that hit is like a stab to the white blood cell. It means the white blood cell won't last long. So that's how it goes. The more exposure doesn't make you stronger. I saw somebody else take that from MM, an influencer doctor took that fairly recently too. And everybody's like, what? I never heard that before. It doesn't make you stronger. Exposures don't make you stronger. Your immune system instead gets beaten down and broken down and beaten down and broken down. And then your brain gets exposed, vulnerable. So it's supposed to, your white blood cells don't last long depending on what they're up against. As you're trying to gobble up nanotechnology, the white blood cell ceases to live. So what happens is we walk around and we get all these exposures and our white blood cells die. And then new ones have to be created. And it's interesting. If you go into the Brain Saver books, you'll see an epic blood draw chapter. I highly recommend reading that chapter. But first of all, take the book from the beginning and get through it, because there's a lot to digest in these books, both of them, equally. But the blood draw chapter, I talk a lot about what happens when we get our blood drawn. So here we are, we're getting sick from all these exposures. Check this out, you guys. We're getting sick from all these exposures. So we're getting our fatigue and our diagnoses and our symptoms and our neurological problems and our headaches and our aches and pains and our dizziness, or whatever it is we're dealing with, burning skin, trigeminal neuralgia, back pain, feet pain, whatever's going on in your life. We're getting sick, and then we go to the doctors and they're drawing tons of blood and they're taking out our immune system at the same time. The very thing that's been eating up all these exposures and eating them up, trying to protect your brain. And then we go to the doctor's office, which I recommend the doctor's office. Of course, why not? You bring the books to your doctors. But then they take all this blood out, because that's not regulated. It should be regulated how much blood they take out. And for good reason. They don't need much to run a blood test. And you should read that in the blood draw chapter section. But then the immune system lowers even more because we lose our white blood count. When a white blood cell fights a pathogen, the pathogen explodes. But the white blood cell eventually runs out of strength and explodes itself. the white blood cell can explode with it. So check this out. So when we got the pathogens inside of us and our white count is going after the pathogen, the white count will eat the white blood cell, immune cell will eat the pathogen until the pathogen is gone and then explode itself. In many situations, a white blood cell dies when it's killing a pathogen. White blood cells are not as easily replaced as we think they are. That's for sure. They're precious. They're not easy to replace. The more white blood cells that die quickly due to exposure, the bigger the gap before newly released ones arrive. So here's how the thing. The more exposures we have, the faster and more white blood cells die, and the longer duration occurs between getting the new immune cells from our bone marrow. That duration is longer and longer and longer. And then we're at the doctor's office because we're sick. I don't feel good. I got fatigue. I got tics and spasms. I'm so disconnected. I feel disconnected. I have depression. You're at the doctor's office and they're drawing more blood now. And now you already have a gap of immune cells being produced out of your bone marrow. And then as more blood's being drawn, the gap widens even more and we get sicker. The Brain Saver books are to save people's lives. The most advanced information to protect people that no one knows or talks about anywhere. No functional doctor, no medical system, no industry, no doctor anywhere. The healthcare provider talks about because they simply don't know. This is the most advanced information out there. I want to cover a couple little fun things. So you guys spread this information around about cleaning the books, and I want to talk about this for a second. When people order the books, Amazon has greasy conveyor belts. So they have conveyor belts. So when you place your order, somebody working in Amazon takes the book out of the box that's on the shelf and they throw it on the conveyor belt. This is what happens at Amazon and other stores, other stores online. The conveyor belt has grease because they're greasing the wheels on the conveyor belt. So they go along the conveyor belt with a grease gun. Grease, petrochemicals, right? And they grease the conveyor belts. They do it every day, every week. Grease just gets everywhere. The book goes down the conveyor belt, heading down, it's getting ready to be packaged or thrown in a box by another guy and then taped up. Now, it's important to know this because you'll have grease or some kind of like grime on a brand new book. Now, what often happens is someone will see a little bit of grease on their book and think they don't have a brand new book. So they'll give Medical Medium a 1-star review. Which is sad because no one gets it. But really, it's a brand new book. There are no used Medical Medium books. I mean, the publisher prints out these are all brand new books. So then what you do is you put a tiny bit of dish soap on a damp towel. And you can wipe your books really clean. And they'll just come out shiny clean. I want everybody to know this and tell other people because you'll see people confused. Once in a while, there'll be some grease on a book or something like that. And they'll be like, what is that? So that's one way of doing it. And you can clean your book up real nice. Brand new book. The other thing is you don't see the grease on other books you might have ordered in the past because Medical Medium books are like this clean look to them. So all the Medical Medium books have that white behind everything and they're really clean. So when it goes down the Amazon conveyor belt and it gets grease on it, you don't see grease on all your other products that come down Amazon's conveyor belt. So you're going to see that. You can use a handy wipe, right? So here's a handy wipe with alcohol. That's a way I do it too. So if I order a book for a friend or something, do like a handy wipe and clean the cover like that with a handy wipe. That's another way to get them really nice and clean. That's great right there. So, which is really great. Okay, so another thing to just run by you guys, if you guys have a minute, is the smell of the books. So what's really incredible about the Medical Medium book series, it's stored in a warehouse that has no plug-in air fresheners. They're stored in a warehouse that has no perfumes, colognes, plug-in air fresheners, pesticides, fungicides, that all the other books are stored at places. So what's really awesome, my publisher promises me that the warehouses that the Medical Medium books are stored in after they're printed doesn't have any of that chemical stuff. I want people to know this. If you can tell other people, this is really an incredible thing. Like really incredible when I even think about it. So I want people to know how it works. Like this is inside info on what we do to make sure that your books don't come saturated in perfumes, colognes, scented candles. Now what happens is that my publisher's doing me a favor by making sure the Medical Medium books don't get stored in warehouses that have all the scented candles and detergents and other weird stuff and all that. So it's important to know. But here's the problem. If you get a book that seems like there's some smell to it, it's only because of where it went after it was printed and stored at the original warehouse. It has no smells and scents. That means that if it went to a bookstore and the bookstore has a lot of scented candles in the bookstore too, and you order the book online and the book gets packaged up, you might have a scented candle smell on a book, and then you just give it time and just let it air out. Another thing too is, it's the same thing with Amazon warehouses. I have no control over Amazon warehouses and all the scented candle smells and all the plug-in smells and everything else. Same thing with all bookstore warehouses. I have no control over that. So if you do get one book that happens to have a smell of something, perfume, then just know that over time that will air out, and it's not the original source. Like it wasn't the Medical Medium books or the Medical Medium books being printed. This is so important to know because some people might get a book they ordered from Amazon at a different Amazon warehouse that happened to have plug-in air fresheners or some kind of chemical, or they ordered it from a bookstore online or walked into a bookstore and the bookstore has scented candles in one corner so everybody can have that experience or whatever. And if there is a smell, know that it comes from way after the fact from wherever you're getting the book from. But the original place the book was printed and stored was chemical free, as far as no chemicals that were in the warehouse floating around, no plugins, no perfumes, no colognes, no anything like this. And this was done on purpose so that the Medical Medium book line and the book series really has the purity factor to it, which leads me to another thing all on its own. The books, they're of the light. You feel it. You know it when you read it. You know it when you hold it. Not only are these Brain Saver books the greatest books of all time, but you feel that energy in these books. You feel the life. You feel that it's not dead material. And books have dead words. They're just dead words on a page. And then these books, they're not dead words on a page. These books are living words. And you feel that energy and you know it's there. And when you read the material and understand it and learn, you'll be mind blown. And when you apply the recommendations in these books, you will feel it. And that doesn't exist anywhere else. And so that's a whole thing on its own. So you guys, we talked about the immune system, how the brain relies on the immune system, how important that is for the brain. And I only just read a couple of paragraphs. That's all it was. Which is really, when you think about only reading a couple of paragraphs, I mean, when I think about that, it blows my mind. It just does. And when I think about just a couple of paragraphs versus how much which is in here, anyway, I have somebody here with me. I have a guest. I have a world-renowned doctor who's coming in here. So I hope you guys I want you to see both books if you're interested in both books. So I got a worldwide famous surgeon and psychiatrist who wants to say hi. We weren't friends for a little while. We had a falling out, and I was really upset about it. And he was too. But we had a falling out because of the alcohol problem he has. Even though he's still a great surgeon, I recommend his surgeries to anyone. But anyway, are you going to say hi to everybody? Are you shy? Dr. Nesbitt says he's kind of shy, but he just wants to see how everybody is for a second here. I hope no one's canceling their book orders because of you, Dr. Nesbitt. I hope nobody cancels your order. He says he doesn't care. That's not a nice thing to say. He says he's kidding. All right, that's good. He says he's just joking around. So Dr. Nesbitt has been off the alcohol for 2 weeks now. He's sober. He only had one surgical mistake last week. He removed someone's. He was supposed to remove their gallbladder, but he removed their liver instead, and they tried to put the liver back in the patient, and that's what insurance is for? Okay. It just didn't work out. Patient's alive, though. They're just walking around without a liver. Really? Anyway, so Dr. Nesbitt's just saying hi to everybody. Somebody did LMAO. Do you know what LMAO stands for? In chicken language, what does it stand for? It stands for laughing my... No, that's LMFO? LMFAO? What's that? That's different? Where's the F? How's the F coming in there? Dr. Nesbitt, you're pushing over the book. What does it mean in chicken? It means kiss my ass in chicken? All right, so that person who said LMAO, that was insulting to Dr. Nesbitt because it means kiss my ass in chicken, where he comes from. Anyway, Dr. Nesbitt graduated from Harvard, the university that poached the medical information about multiple sclerosis, right? Yeah. You even know the doctors? Yeah, I know. It was published years ago by Medical Medium, and they actually pretended they came out with it recently. Unbelievable. Such a wealthy university having to do that, take Medical Medium's information. How embarrassing. What else? You like the books? He likes the books, you guys. He likes the recipes. He took the ego shot, and he said that after he took the ego shifter, you like the ego shifter? He said he took the ego shifter and he went out, scratched his feet in the dirt. He says he was a new man. You guys, I am going to go, and I'm going to take Dr. Nesbitt out to lunch. So we're going to actually go out to lunch, and we're going to have a good time. I'm going to talk about the book release. He's probably going to talk about the fact that he's sober now, and we're going to have a good time. Okay. You guys, check out Brainsaver Protocols when you get a chance. And what? You like the immune system talk? Okay, fantastic. Okay. We're not going to torture everybody with Dr. Nesbitt. We're going to let Dr. Nesbitt go. You guys, incredible. So I just want to tell you the Brain Saver Challenge is still on. Brain Saver Challenge, if you guys check it out when you get a chance. So the Brain Saver Challenge, you'll find the link. Link's in the profile, right? Brain Saver Challenge is on today. Today's day 3. Tomorrow's the Light Infusion Meditation out of the Brain Saver books. That's tomorrow. Just letting you know. Okay. There we go. I hope you are checking out the new podcast episode released last night. So check out the new podcast episode that was released last night. So that's really good. Apple Podcasts, check it out there. Okay, guys. We will be seeing you. I will try to do another live. I might even be able to do one later on tonight. So look out. Keep your notifications on if that even matters. And I will talk to you guys later. Bless you guys, truly.